Welcome, weary traveler, to a gentle journey through the shadowed halls of the Resident Evil universe. Settle into your comfortable space, let the world outside fade away as we unravel this complete timeline together. From ancient whispers of forgotten viruses to the distant echoes of 2037, this is your soothing escape into a world of survival, mystery, and quiet resilience. Before we begin, feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of slow, detailed storytelling. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is there. There's something beautiful about the same story carrying across the world, one peaceful night at a time. Now let's begin. Deep in the heart of West Africa, where the sun blazes hot over ancient lands, there once thrived a kingdom lost to time. The Nindipaya people lived under wide skies, their legends speaking of a sacred flower that bloomed eternally in hidden caves, bathed in a soft bioluminescent glow. This flower, known as the Stairway of the Sun, was seen as a bridge between the mortal world and the divine. It held secrets that could bend the very rules of nature itself, causing strange mutations in the creatures that consumed its delicate petals. The elders would gather around fires at night, sharing stories of warriors who had taken the flower's power into themselves, gaining incredible strength but risking a creeping madness that would pass down through their bloodlines. These weren't just tales to frighten children. They were warnings about something real, something sleeping beneath the earth. A virus, wild and potent, that the Ndipaya both revered and feared. Picture those ancient caves now, glowing softly in your mind. The progenitor virus flowed through that flower like liquid starlight, blending into the plants and wildlife, creating strange creatures that hunters would glimpse in the darkness. Their eyes would shine back at them, reflecting the firelight. Villages built shrines at these sacred places, holding ceremonies under moonlit trees to appease the flower's power, maintaining a delicate balance between fragile humanity and nature's dangerous secrets. Yet in these ancient roots lay the seeds of future catastrophe. This viral source, this gift from the earth, would eventually be uncovered by ambitious minds from distant lands. The Ndipaya's story hung in the humid air like morning mist, a quiet warning of power and peril, where mutation wasn't a curse, but a sign of evolution twisted beyond recognition. As the modern world grew and spread, these legends slipped quietly into the background, waiting patiently for science to awaken what stories had kept sleeping. The 1960s brought three brilliant but troubled minds to West Africa's thick jungles. Oswell E. Spencer, a calculating nobleman with dreams of immortality. James Marcus, an eccentric virologist obsessed with leeches and viral bonding. And Edward Ashford, the cautious one who understood the weight of what they were seeking. Using weathered maps and local guides who spoke in hushed tones of cursed lands, they discovered the Stairway of the Sun, its bright petals concealing the progenitor virus, heavy with hidden promise. What began as a research expedition soon transformed into something darker. Early tests revealed the virus could rewrite cellular structure, offering the tantalizing dream of human enhancement, of evolution guided by human hands rather than time's patient work. Back in Europe, the three men formalized their partnership, founding Umbrella Pharmaceuticals as a respectable facade for their true ambitions. A bioweapons empire dressed in the sterile white coat of medical progress. Spencer, the shrewd aristocrat, orchestrated the business side, securing funding through shadowy deals and political connections. Marcus and Ashford worked in primitive laboratories, studying the virus's unstable properties, watching it shift and change under microscopes like a living thing with its own intelligence. Ethical questions bubbled to the surface. Ashford worried about the dangers, about playing God with forces beyond human understanding. But Spencer's ambition was a powerful current, and it swept their doubts aside. As Umbrella grew from a small research company into a pharmaceutical giant, early experiments on tissue samples revealed the virus's dual nature. On one hand, it offered a pathway to extended youth for the wealthy and powerful. On the other, it threatened to create monsters if mishandled. The founders pushed forward anyway, their partnership beginning an era where ancient myths collided with modern science and the progenitor's sacred origins became fuel for a machine of creation and destruction. The partnership wouldn't last. As the 1960s turned into the 1970s, Spencer worked methodically to consolidate control over the progenitor virus research. Marcus, the insect specialist, clashed constantly with Ashford's conservative approach. Their laboratories became battlegrounds of ideology. Marcus pushed for aggressive hybridization, wanting to force the virus to evolve faster. Ashford advocated for slow, careful modifications to avoid catastrophic mistakes. Tests on animals in secret facilities produced disturbing results. Rats transformed into ravenous creatures that consumed each other. Cells multiplied without stopping, creating tumorous masses of living tissue. Each failure fed Spencer's paranoia that his partners might surpass him, might claim the glory he believed was rightfully his. Arguments echoed through Umbrella's expanding halls. Leaked documents and sabotaged experiments hinted at betrayal simmering beneath the surface of professional courtesy. Spencer began withholding resources, funneling supplies to his own trusted teams. Marcus, feeling the pressure, conducted hidden experiments on leeches in isolated facilities, seeking ways to stabilize the virus's chaotic nature. Ashford, sensing the fractured partnership, withdrew to his family estate, strengthening his own research programs. By the end of the decade, seeds of mistrust had been planted that would grow into deadly schemes. With early progenitor tests showing hints of design superiority in cellular structure, the founders' once united front crumbled under ambition's weight. Umbrella transformed from a hub of scientific innovation into a cauldron of internal conflict. In this time of weakening partnerships, the virus evolved not just in petri dishes, but in the minds of men chasing godlike power. Each founder walking their own shadowed path, none realizing they were all heading toward the same darkness. In the dim underground laboratories carved into the Arklay Mountains in 1978, James Marcus achieved what would become both his greatest triumph and the world's doom. Mixing the progenitor virus with leech DNA, he created something stable, something reproducible. The T virus, a strain capable of reanimating dead tissue, of bringing corpses back to a terrible mockery of life. Alone in his subterranean workspace, Marcus watched with fascination as the hybrid leeches moved with new purpose, their bodies accepting the virus in ways that mimicked the mutations of infected creatures. This wasn't just laboratory work. This was the fusion of life and death, where bioorganic weapons rose from containment tanks, but moving with an unnatural hunger that would soon become terrifyingly familiar. The T-virus's power revealed itself in controlled chaos. Dogs transformed into snarling Cerberus prototypes, their eyes vacant but filled with predatory rage. Marcus's records noted the virus's elegant design, how it integrated seamlessly with host tissue, granting resilience and aggression at the cost of higher brain function, a trait he considered necessary for Umbrella's grand vision of controllable bioweapons. Yet signs of instability remained. Small containment breaches led to isolated incidents in the surrounding forest, hints of the widespread contamination that would soon devastate everything nearby. As 1978 ended, the Arklay facility hummed with the soft sounds of machinery keeping these monsters alive. Marcus's achievement marked a shift from theoretical enhancement to practical terror. The leech hybridization had opened doors that should have stayed locked, creating a virus that craved flesh and spread rapidly through bodily fluids. In this act of creation, Umbrella's dark path took its first firm step toward the abyss. The T-virus would become the foundation for everything that followed, a legacy written in blood and shambling footsteps. Marcus documented everything meticulously, never imagining that his triumph would eventually lead to his own betrayal and a revenge that would transcend death itself. A young genius named William Birkin joined Umbrella in the late 1970s, his brilliant mind cutting through the T-virus's complexities like a surgeon's scalpel. Recruited by Marcus, Birkin dove into improvements, adding genetic material from the deadly Ebola virus to enhance the T-virus's potency and controllability. In sterile laboratories filled with centrifuges and incubators, he conducted secret human trials. Prisoners who vanished without trace, their bodies warping into twisted versions of life while Umbrella's secrets grew thicker around him. Birkin's rapid rise sparked jealousy within the company. His innovations upset established researchers like Marcus, who saw his ambition as a threat to their positions. Birkin walked a dangerous line, testing boundaries with genetic combinations that promised powerful bioweapons but carried the risk of uncontrollable outbreaks. His wife, Annette, came aboard as well, their partnership blending intimate bonds with ruthless scientific work as they tracked mutations that blurred the line between healing and horror. By the decade's end, Birkin's efforts had pulled Umbrella deeper into moral darkness. The Ebola-enhanced T-virus became a cornerstone of bioweapons development. These years shaped Birkin into a central figure of fear, his genetic work laying the groundwork for viruses that would later devastate entire cities. In those quiet laboratories, far from public eyes, the seeds of Raccoon City's doom were planted one DNA strand at a time. Birkin never saw himself as a monster maker. He saw himself as a visionary, advancing human knowledge into territories others feared to tread. Hidden in the misty Arklay Mountains, the Spencer Mansion stood as a monument to deception. Its elegant architecture concealed a labyrinth of terror carefully designed by Oswell Spencer himself. Built as an impressive estate on the surface, it covered massive underground complexes for viral research filled with clever puzzles and deadly traps to keep intruders out and contain any escaped bioweapons within. Builders and construction crews bound by strict non-disclosure agreements unknowingly created a fortress of lies. Grand rooms overlooking manicured gardens concealed secret elevators dropping into sterile research zones below. Down in those depths, early bioorganic weapons roamed dark corridors, their sounds echoing through ventilation systems as scientists like Birkin and Marcus refined T-virus strains. The mansion became Umbrella's primary research hub, housing everything from botanical gardens that replicated the Ndipaya's ancient environment to cryogenic storage preserving failed experiments. Spencer's aesthetic preferences showed everywhere. Paintings depicting idealized human evolution adorned the walls, quiet nods to the ego driving it all. As the 1980s progressed, the Arklay facility pulsed with forbidden energy, its puzzles and riddles serving not just as security, but as tests for the intellectual elite who worked there. This grand estate symbolized everything Umbrella represented: surface beauty hiding the mutations growing underneath, ready to burst free. The mansion waited patiently in its mountain isolation, a pressure cooker of viral experimentation that would eventually explode, scattering its horrors across the surrounding wilderness and drawing in those who would become legends in the fight against bioterror. Under a heavy summer storm in July 1998, the Ecliptic Express raced through the Arklay wilderness, carrying Umbrella executives who had no idea of the terror building inside its elegant cars. Rebecca Chambers, a young medic fresh out of training and the newest member of STRS Bravo team, found herself thrown into chaos when the train derailed, its cars filling with mutated leeches. These weren't ordinary parasites. They were Marcus's creations, filled with T-virus, sliding from the darkness in a grotesque display of revenge. With escaped convict Billy Cohen, a former Marine with a tragic past, Rebecca moved through blood-soaked compartments, finding clues that tied the attack to James Marcus's murder a decade prior. The leeches, filled with viral intelligence, clustered together to form pseudo-human shapes, mimicking dead passengers in an eerie game of deception that pushed Rebecca's courage to its limits. Billy's military skills complemented her medical knowledge as they uncovered records revealing Marcus's assassination by Spencer's order, his body disposed of, but his consciousness somehow reborn through the Queen Leech. Gunfire echoed through the rain-soaked wreckage as they fought to survive. Each discovery peeled back layers of Umbrella's internal betrayals. The crashed train was a small preview of greater horrors waiting in Arklay. This prelude to larger catastrophes showed how fragile human bonds could be against viral vengeance. Rebecca's survival marked her entry into a world where trust dissolved like morning dew, and the storm's flashes illuminated truths that would haunt her for years to come. From the Ecliptic's twisted metal, Rebecca and Billy pushed deeper into Umbrella's abandoned training facility, a massive complex of rotting corridors and flooded basements where the air hung heavy with decay. The Queen Leech rose as a towering, pulsating mass born from Marcus's rage, her tendrils whipping out in bursts of slime and fury. Together they solved facility puzzles, pulling levers and opening locked doors while facing the proto-tyrant, a hulking early model whose raw strength hinted at the perfected monsters ahead. Deeper truths emerged in abandoned offices. Documents showed Spencer's calculated plan for Marcus's murder, all to seize control of the T-virus research. Billy's past as a falsely accused soldier intertwined with Rebecca's hope for redemption, building a bond tested by Umbrella's self-destruct protocols that shook the facility's foundation. The Queen Leech's screams reverberated through ventilation shafts, her form shifting in intelligent hatred, forcing quick thinking amid collapsing walls and rising water. In the climax of chaos, the facility's destruction symbolized Umbrella's fracturing foundation. Rebecca and Billy's escape was a brief victory against betrayal's tide. Marcus's ghostly presence lingered in the ruins, a haunting reminder that death here was just transformation, clearing the way for the mansion's approaching terror. They parted ways at dawn, Billy disappearing into the forest as a wanted man, while Rebecca steeled herself for what awaited at the Spencer estate, unaware that her nightmare was only beginning. The Arklay Mountains stood under thick fog that July night as Steyer's Bravo team's helicopter cut through turbulent air, investigating bizarre murders in the wilderness. Led by Captain Enrico Marini, the team, including young Rebecca Chambers, hit trouble when their aircraft malfunctioned, crashing deep in woods filled with unknown dangers. Separated team members discovered mutilated bodies, then faced packs of Cerberus dogs, their fur matted with blood and eyes burning with T-virus rage, charging through underbrush without hesitation or pain. Enrico's squad scattered in the terror, radios crackling with desperate calls for help as zombies shambled from shadows, former hikers and locals reanimated by the virus, their rotted forms revealing Umbrella's contamination spreading through the forest like poison. Rebecca, cut off from others, witnessed the horror up close, her medical training useless against bites that kept hosts moving long after death should have claimed them. The woods transformed into a nightmare maze where every sound signaled potential attack. Bravo team's numbers dwindled under assault from viral monsters that never tired, never stopped. Eventually, Enrico's group was decimated, their final radio messages speaking of conspiracies and failed containment at the outbreak's core. This crash landing was the dark overture to a larger symphony of fear, pulling the rest of Star S into secrets hidden within the Spencer estate. The mountains, once peaceful, now filled with the sounds of undeath and helicopter rotors. A prelude to truths waiting for those brave enough or foolish enough to venture deeper into Umbrella's web. The fog rolled thick between the trees, carrying with it the scent of decay and the promise that nothing would ever be the same again for those who survived the night. With Bravo Team's signal lost, STARS Alpha Team mobilized under Captain Albert Wesker's leadership, their helicopter landing in the Arklay area where crash debris waited like scattered breadcrumbs. Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Barry Burton, and Wesker pushed through misty woods, the air heavy with the smell of blood and rot. Shots rang out as they encountered scattered zombies and Cerberus remnants, the creatures driving them toward shelter in the imposing Spencer mansion. Its main doors opened like a mouth, drawing them inside. Within the mansion's ornate halls, the growing nightmare revealed itself slowly. Flickering lights cast dancing shadows on blood-stained carpets, while T-virus victims wandered rooms locked behind clever puzzles requiring wit and courage to solve. Jill and Chris separated, taking different routes, discovering hidden passages and safe rooms that offered brief respite from dangers. Among the horrors they faced were Crimson Heads, zombies that rose stronger after seeming dead. Their speed and ferocity increased tenfold. Barry's solid presence hid his internal torment as the team pieced together Umbrella research notes scattered like clues in a deadly puzzle. The mansion's design twisted conventional sense, with moving rooms and trapped corridors testing their survival skills amid constant threat of infection. Alpha Team's arrival marked the Arclay incident's escalation, turning a rescue mission into a descent into corporate conspiracy. As doors sealed behind them, the estate locked their fate, whispering hints of truth buried in its serpentine depths. Each room explored, each puzzle solved, brought them closer to understanding the scope of Umbrella's experiments. But it also brought them closer to betrayals that would shatter the team forever, and to bioweapons that represented humanity's darkest ambitions made flesh. Deeper in the Spencer Mansion's depths, loyalties fractured like old glass as Wesker's true nature emerged from shadow. His sunglasses hid calculating eyes full of treachery as he manipulated the team from darkness, forcing Barry to sabotage their efforts by holding his family hostage. The underground laboratories buzzed with failed experiments where the tyrant T waited in its containment tank, a towering fusion of muscle and malice engineered for perfection. Truth fell like cascading dominoes. Documents revealed Wesker's deep Umbrella connections, his mission to gather combat data from bioweapons by pitting his own team against them. Jill confronted the web of deception in rooms filled with antidote formulas, dodging plant-based monsters like the enormous yawn serpent, while Chris discovered Barry's forced betrayal through raw confrontation that tested years of friendship. The air grew thick with chemical smells and decomposition as each puzzle solved opened new layers of Spencer's mad ambitions. Wesker's goals crystallized in the laboratory's harsh fluorescent light. His release of the tyrant was a desperate attempt to eliminate witnesses and secure victory for Umbrella. The beast's awakening shattered any remaining illusions of teamwork, its massive form advancing with mechanical precision, turning the mansion's basement into a battleground where trust transformed into bullets and survival instinct. This betrayal cut deep scars into those who survived, transforming heroes into hardened skeptics of institutional authority. Wesker's actions that night would ripple through decades, his presumed death merely the first act in a much longer performance of superhuman ambition and viral enhancement that would haunt the world for years to come. With Tyrant T-02 raging through the laboratories, the survivors initiated the mansion's self-destruct protocol, alarms wailing like the estate's death cry amid collapsing corridors and spreading fires. Chris, Jill, and a redeemed Barry battled desperately against the pursuing bioweapon, its claws tearing through metal as they raced past exploding equipment and crumbling floors toward the helipad. Antidote injections held off infection just long enough, while radio calls brought pilot Brad Vickers for extraction, his helicopter a beacon of hope in the inferno. The tyrant's final confrontation played out under storm-torn skies, its form mutating further in a grotesque display of viral adaptability, forcing the team to employ rocket launchers and improvised explosives. As the beast fell in smoking ruin, the mansion's core detonated in a massive explosion, erasing Umbrella's research evidence, but not the survivors' memories. Debris rained like judgment as the helicopter climbed away into the night. The escape revealed Umbrella's crimes to a skeptical world, planting seeds of doubt and investigation that would grow for years. The Spencer estate's destruction closed one chapter of horror, yet its echoes persisted in the survivors' haunted expressions, a testament to the price of uncovering buried truth. From this burned footprint, the battle against bioterrorism truly began, carried forward by those who bore the weight of lost friends and hard-won knowledge. As they flew over the Arklay wilderness, leaving destruction in their wake, none of them could have imagined how far Umbrella's corruption spread, or how the nightmares they'd witnessed were merely the beginning of a global catastrophe that would consume an entire city in the months to come. The mansion burned behind them, but its legacy of horror had only just begun to spread its dark wings. As autumn winds blew through Raccoon City streets in September 1998, normal life crumbled under a creeping T-virus outbreak that transformed bustling neighborhoods into zones of primal terror. Ordinary people like police officer Kevin Ryman and reporter Alyssa Ashcroft found themselves trapped in familiar locations turned hostile, hospitals filled with agonized screams, bars slick with blood, subway stations echoing with moans of the undead. Groups formed in desperation as survivors searched for keys and antidotes amid zombie hordes scratching at doors, their rotted faces twisted masks of former friends and strangers. The contamination reached everywhere, from zoo enclosures where mutated animals like a massive elephant trumpeted in viral rage, to train tunnels flooded with undead pressing forward in relentless waves. Kevin's street knowledge combined with Alyssa's investigative skills, uncovering Umbrella's culpability in documents that showed deliberate negligence and calculated risks. Each path branched like capillaries in a diseased body, offering multiple endings that demonstrated hope's fragility in a city approaching total collapse. In this tapestry of civilian struggles, Raccoon transformed into a walking graveyard where survivors' stories formed a sharp critique of the human cost behind corporate darkness. The virus affected everyone differently, transforming daily routines into nightmares where the living moved through streets littered with abandoned cars and broken dreams. Some fought with improvised weapons, others hid in attics and basements, praying for rescue that seemed increasingly unlikely. As teams formed and dissolved, reformed and scattered again, the outbreak illustrated the thin membrane between civilization and chaos. Deeper in Raccoon City's collapse, more stories emerged from shadows as survivors like firefighter David King and teacher Cindy Lennox ventured into overlooked corners of catastrophe. School hallways once filled with laughter now hosted battles against massive mutants like the Leech Man, a blob creature absorbing victims into its gelatinous mass, while subway cars shook with trapped undead cries. Branching narratives allowed for different tools and quick puzzles where one choice could secure an escape route or unleash fresh horror. The fight spread to forgotten areas, including hotel lobbies transformed into makeshift fortresses and research facilities leaking experimental terrors as groups planned evacuations amid timed explosions and collapsing buildings. Cindy's compassionate nature clashed with David's aggressive pragmatism, their dynamic revealing deeper truths about Umbrella's viral modifications through blood-marked notes and audio recordings. Cooperation became essential in these fragmented tales, emphasizing how strangers became crucial allies in a world where isolation meant certain death. These additional stories painted Raccoon as a patchwork of loss, each scenario a thread in the larger tapestry of bioterrorism's grip. The city's pulse weakened with every mutant defeated, yet survivors' determination glowed like embers in darkness, illuminating Umbrella's widespread corruption. In quiet moments between frantic chases, reflections on lost normal life persisted, creating a melancholic atmosphere that acknowledged the human dimension of catastrophe. Families separated, loves lost, futures erased. The outbreak wasn't just about monsters and survival, it was about the annihilation of community, the dissolution of trust, and the desperate clinging to humanity in circumstances designed to strip it away. As groups made their final pushes toward theoretical safety, Raccoon City's death throes echoed with both terror and an odd, mournful beauty. Jill Valentine woke to chaos in her apartment in uptown Raccoon, the air thick with smoke and distant screams as the T-virus outbreak escalated into full-scale catastrophe. Pursued by Nemesis, a towering bioweapon in a trench coat and heavy weaponry, she dodged its rocket attacks through rain-slicked alleys, her STRS training kicking in like muscle memory. Meeting Carlos Oliveira from Umbrella's cleanup unit UBCS, they navigated through citywide terror, their paths crossing at a clock tower where bells tolled like death knells amid zombie hordes and hunter mutations leaping from rooftops. The city's horror manifested in vivid ways. Overturned cars blocked streets. Hospitals overflowed with infected while Jill pieced together antidote clues in makeshift laboratories. Her route intersected with betrayed UBCS members, revealing Umbrella's role in the disaster. Nemesis evolved with each encounter, its forms growing increasingly grotesque, pushing Jill to use environmental explosives and calculated risks to survive. Carlos's bold charm provided brief comfort in the relentless darkness, their teamwork a fragile lifeline in the chaos. Jill's journey through Uptown captured the outbreak's raw force, her awakening a harsh transition from doubt to determination against manufactured plague. The clock tower's mechanisms, once markers of time's steady passage, became life-or-death puzzles, matching the city's descent into endless nightmare. In every shadowed corner, the weight of coming apocalypse pressed close, driving her forward through flames of a world coming apart. The streets she'd once patrolled as a protector now hunted her as prey, transformed into a maze of biological horror where every breath could be contaminated. Every shadow could hide death, and every heartbeat brought her closer to either salvation or doom. As Contagion's grip tightened, Jill and Carlos pushed to Raccoon's edges, facing Nemesis in its final nightmarish form amid ruins of an antidote production plant. The creature's roars shook the facility's foundation, its body a pulsating mass of tentacles and exposed organs, demanding all of Jill's skill in a storm of heavy weaponry and acid rounds. Word of government protocols buzzed on radios, countdown to nuclear strike adding urgency to their escape. The city burned under a sky orange with approaching annihilation. Their bond strengthened in the face of betrayal, Carlos risking everything for extraction, while Jill delivered the finishing blow to the relentless hunter. Its defeat was a hollow victory in the shadow of complete obliteration. Streets once full of life now lay silent, but for the shuffle of remaining undead, Umbrella's legacy carved into devastation. Nemesis's pursuit had captured the outbreak's tragic arc from isolated incidents to citywide catastrophe, with survivors clinging to slim hope amid flames. In a flash of nuclear fire, Raccoon City vanished from maps, its erasure a brutal ending to Umbrella's pride, leaving Jill and Carlos as witnesses to the mushroom cloud's rise. The blast wave carried echoes of countless lost lives, marking the corporation's first major collapse, yet hinting at deeper conspiracies hiding beyond the scorched earth. From this ground zero, the battle transformed into something larger, a dark covenant, forged in ruin's heart. The city's obliteration sent shockwaves through government halls and corporate boardrooms worldwide, raising questions about bioweapons accountability and the terrifying ease with which modern civilization could dissolve into chaos. For Jill and Carlos, survival came with the burden of testimony, of carrying forward the truth about what really happened in those final days. In this reimagined vision of Raccoon's end, Jill Valentine's story played with enhanced intensity. Her apartment's destruction was a brutal introduction to the remade horror of September 1998. Nemesis hunting with intelligent adaptation, its movements matching player actions as it crashed through walls and wielded flamethrowers through uptown ruins, pushing Jill through damaged buildings filled with infected. Carlos Oliveira's expanded role brought the UBCS cleanup operation into sharp focus, his segments exploring hospital horrors where wall-crawling drain dynamos emerged from vents, connecting smoothly to the broader mutations. The city's decay felt heavier in intimate perspectives, with side stories adding depth. Abandoned notes told of Umbrella's cure research amid clock tower sequences that groaned under mutant assault. Jill's confrontations with Nemesis evolved into spectacular showdowns, its mutations adding rocket barrages and tentacle sweeps demanding quick reflexes and resource management. This remake preserved the 1998 timeline while adding new elements like stronger Birkin family connections hinting at deeper viral narratives. As nuclear fire approached, Jill's escape hit with fresh emotional weight, Carlos's team a flickering light in darkness. This modern interpretation honored the original while adding layers that resonated with contemporary understanding of survival horror's potential. The city felt more alive in its death, citizens' final moments captured in environmental storytelling, graffiti messages, and recorded calls for help that would never come. The remake transformed nostalgia into something vital and immediate, inviting both veterans and newcomers to experience Raccoon's fall with eyes open to bioterrorism's evolving darkness. New police officer Leon S. Kennedy drove into Raccoon City under heavy rain, his first shift colliding with the outbreak's peak as zombies filled flooded streets. Claire Redfield, searching for brother Chris, met Leon on that same cursed road, their paths merging at the RPD station. A once proud bastion, now a fortress of locked doors and blood-stained corridors. Navigating the grand lobby filled with zombies on the ceiling, they searched for keys and ammunition, the station's design a puzzle of locked wings and sealed passages hiding clues to the G-virus's emergence. Young Sherry Birkin, a frightened child caught in the center of catastrophe, became their shared responsibility. Her pendant a key to underground secrets as the hulking Mr. X's heavy footsteps echoed through halls. Leon's naive idealism met Claire's determined will, their split narratives intersecting in shared spaces where puzzles like chess piece arrangements and chemical formulas offered brief respite amid constant zombie threats. The air remained thick with groans of undeath, each corridor a potential dead end filled with decay and the acrid smell of spent gunpowder. Their arrival marked personal stakes in Raccoon's collapse, transforming strangers into protectors against a virus that consumed indiscriminately. The RPD's impressive facade crumbled under infection's weight, its evidence rooms and weapon lockers yielding facts about Umbrella's experiments that drove their push to escape. In this crucible of horror, bonds formed in fire, preparing them for descents into the city's diseased underbelly where the worst revelations waited. The police station, meant to represent order and safety, became instead a monument to civilization's fragility. Its blue uniformed zombies a grotesque mockery of the protection they'd once promised to provide. Descending into Raccoon's flooded sewers, Leon and Claire waded through murky water filled with massive crocodile mutations and giant spider horrors, the dank passages a gateway to the Nest Laboratories' sterile terrors. William Birkin's G-virus mutations manifested as spectacular boss fights, his form shifting from hulking brute to tentacled monstrosity, lashing out in confined spaces, demanding calculated evasion amid leaking pipes and electrical hazards. Sherry's infection added urgency, her vulnerability a human anchor in the mechanical depths where conveyor belts and incineration zones turned survival into a deadly choreography. The laboratories pulsed with Umbrella's dark heart, computer screens displaying data on the G-virus's self-evolution properties, illustrating Birkin's desperate gamble and monstrous rebirth. Mr. X pursued relentlessly, his trench coat-clad form smashing through walls and calculated appearances that built dread. While Leon and Claire's paths converged at key moments, sharing resources across scenarios, puzzles deepened from botanical solutions to train ignition sequences, each breakthrough peeling back layers of the Birkin family's tragic role. The hunt culminated in spectacular confrontations as the G-Virus's story served as a warning about unchecked ambition, risking contagion beyond Raccoon's borders. As self-destruct protocols initiated, the underground's collapse mirrored the city's doom, survivors racing against crumbling passages and final mutations. This descent illustrated the intimate horrors beneath surface chaos, where science's pride created nightmares that clawed at humanity's core. The laboratories flooded with seawater as they escaped on an emergency train, Birkin's final form pursuing them even in his death throes, a father and scientist transformed into pure viral rage. Remade with photorealistic intensity, this interpretation of 1998's events placed Leon and Claire into visceral horror. The RPD's period details enhanced in high-fidelity darkness where flashlight beams cut through shadows filled with threat. Mr. X's pursuit evolved into a dynamic stalking system, his footsteps building dread as he adapted to hiding spots and routes, while expanded Birkin family narrative dove into Annette's conflicted assistance and Sherry's innocence through warmer cutscenes. The remake refined combat with dismemberment systems, making each shot count against zombies that moved with frightening agility across walls. Underground areas expanded the story with flooded passages and laboratories full of environmental hazards like poison gas and plant growths tying to Umbrella's botanical experiments. Puzzles received modern updates like circuit boards and gear mechanisms requiring spatial reasoning amid time pressures. Blending classic atmosphere with contemporary tension, Claire's grenade launcher and Leon's adaptable routes split experiences, emphasizing dual scenarios showing different perspectives on the G-Virus saga. This remake preserved the original soul while adding emotional depth. The Birkin's downfall a touching thread amid bloodshed. As the train sped toward freedom, the remake captured Raccoon's heart in raw, intimate strokes, inviting players to face the human price of viral ambition again. In its polished shadows, the horror felt enduring, a bridge between past nightmares and future reckonings. The city's destruction wasn't just spectacle, but tragedy, each zombie representing someone's family member, friend, or neighbor. The remake asked players to sit with that grief even while fighting for survival, creating a more mature and resonant experience that honored the franchise's evolution. Under Raccoon City's collapsing infrastructure during the 1998 outbreak, hidden laboratories became stages for asymmetrical horror, where a calculating mastermind deployed bioweapons against desperate survivors fighting for escape. Daniel Fabron and others controlled cameras and traps remotely, summoning zombies through vents or tyrants through reinforced doors, turning sterile corridors into shifting battlegrounds of strategy and survival instinct. Survivors like Valerie Harmon fought back with specialized skills, hacking terminals, healing teammates, building tense cooperation and multiplayer experiences that mirrored the outbreak's chaos. The scenarios played out in familiar but twisted locations, from casino floors with undead dealers to research wings buzzing with experimental specimens, each round a fresh tale of adaptation and betrayal. Masterminds constructed obstacles with zombie waves and environmental hazards like toxic gas, while survivors worked to disable locks and progress forward. This asymmetric experience captured Umbrella's control fantasies, blending horror with competitive tension where each decision mattered. Though set during Raccoon's fall, it stood as a unique perspective, inviting players to experience both sides of the bioweapon equation. The laboratory's clinical atmosphere gave way to desperate victories or crushing defeats, a microcosm of the series' enduring cycle of power and resistance. Waking on the fog-covered shores of Sheena Island in November 1998, amnesiac protagonist Ark Thompson pieced together his identity amid Umbrella's remote outpost ruins, where a T-Virus release had transformed paradise into hell. Walking through abandoned streets with rusted vehicles and overgrown vegetation, he encountered clones, twisted copies of Raccoon survivors clawing from darkness, their hollow eyes reflecting the company's hubris in mass-producing horrors. First-person perspective guided his journey, shooting through zombie groups and hunter packs in an immersive haze of disorientation and discovery. Deeper in the island's underground facilities, Ark found areas breeding Hypnos T-type tyrants, sleeker monsters designed for obedience but filled with lethal capability. Their pursuits through clean corridors tested reflexes and will as documents scattered in bloody offices revealed Vincent Goldman's role in the outbreak. His power grab backfiring catastrophically. Teams formed with brief survivors like Lot and Lily, children trapped in Umbrella's web, adding protective layers amid non-stop combat. Sheena's isolation amplified the fear. Its clone production, a chilling echo of Raccoon's destruction where identity became weaponized. Ark's escape with the island exploding behind him emphasized Umbrella's global reach, extending even to remote research stations. This side story connected outbreaks across time zones, a solitary tale of survival amid bioterror's expanding shadow. Imprisoned on the wind-battered cliffs of Rockford Island in December 1998, Claire Redfield awakened to alarms as Alfred Ashford's breakdown unleashed the T. Veronica virus, transforming guards and prisoners into shambling monsters. Moving through prison cells and courtyards under perpetual twilight, she dodged Bandersnatch creatures, lopsided horrors with elongated arms whipping like tentacles while searching for lockpicks and clever keys. The island's gothic isolation amplified every sound as Claire's escape attempt merged with discoveries of the Ashford family's decaying aristocracy. Alfred's twisted psyche manifested in cross-dressing episodes and cruel traps, his obsession with frozen sister Alexia fueling a narrative of familial corruption matching Umbrella's broader rot. Claire teamed with prisoner Steve Burnside, his hot-headed nature balancing her resourcefulness in puzzles, with music boxes and chemical formulas amid spreading fires. T. Veronica's mutations spread like frost, creating insectoid monsters that scuttled across frozen grounds, testing their fragile partnership. Rockford's collapse captured the virus's elegant malice, Claire's imprisonment a transition from Raccoon City's chaos to isolated aristocratic downfall. As transport planes carried her toward Antarctica's frozen grip, the island's destruction left bitter scars hinting at deeper viral lineages. This chapter added crucial lore to the saga, weaving personal struggle into bioterrorism's expanding tapestry. Escaping Rockfort's crumbling structures, Claire and Steve navigated mine passages and airfields as Bandersnatch pursuers shattered the night with uneven cries. Steve's piloting skills proved essential in narrow escapes, his bond with Claire evolving from wary distrust to genuine connection amid Ashford family secrets discovered in opulent chambers. Paintings concealed safes filled with notes on T. Veronica's inception, while Nosferatu, a poisoned family patriarch chained in depths, attacked with toxic spikes demanding environmental awareness that turned the island's terrain into deadly assistance. Their relationship deepened in quiet moments, Steve's vulnerability showing through his bravado as they solved cooperative puzzles, one holding switches while the other crossed hazards. Alfred's distant taunts and illusory projections haunted their path, culminating in a seaplane escape that transitioned to Antarctica's ice embrace. The departure captured pursuit's intensity. T. Veronica's spread a persistent shadow over their brief alliance. In this partnership's formation, Rockfort became a crucible for growth, Steve's sacrifice foreshadowing the costs of connection in Umbrella's web. The flight south carried echoes of lost innocence, the island's chaos assigned to fractured nobility. As horizons turned white with ice, their journey emphasized the series' theme of unlikely bonds amid relentless mutation, preparing them for the frozen hell that awaited in Alexia's domain. Chris Redfield landed on Antarctica's frozen wastes at Umbrella's isolated outpost, bitter winds carrying sounds of Rockfort's end as he infiltrated the snow-covered facility to find Sister Claire. Awakened from cryogenic sleep, Alexia Ashford emerged as a T. Veronica-infused queen, her body adorned with insectoid mutations. wings spreading like deadly petals, flames shooting from her blood in waves that scorched ice corridors. Claire and Steve, weakened from their crash landing, navigated the base's twisted vents and laboratories where ant-like creatures swarmed in coordinated waves, their chittering a symphony of mutated horror. Alexia's god complex manifested in grand chambers filled with Ashford antiquities, her mind games mocking the intruders with false family memories while Steve's infection progressed, twisting him into an unwilling weapon under her control. Chris's arrival shifted momentum, his arsenal clashing against Alexia's evolving forms in battles that melted ice and shattered glass containment units full of failed experiments, puzzles intertwined with survival, from circuit configurations to antidote synthesis amid sub-zero temperatures, each step revealing the virus's intimate fusion with its host. The outpost's detonation approached as Alexia's final form, a massive plant-insect hybrid, fought in a maelstrom of fire and frost. Her defeat scattered T. Veronica particles into the abyss. Chris and Claire's reunion amid chaos marked a bittersweet victory. Steve's sacrifice a haunting testament to the Ashford lineage's extinction. This frozen throne captured the virus's adaptive elegance, a cold evolution, from progenitor origins that left the siblings scarred, but strengthened against Umbrella's lingering chill. The Antarctic facility collapsed into ice as they escaped, burying secrets that would take years to fully uncover. Through retold perspectives, key moments from Raccoon's End and beyond returned with fresh context. Leon Kennedy's early missions in South America revealed Javier Hidalgo's T. Veronica experimentation in 2002, partnering with Jack Krauser through rainforest wetlands where virus-enhanced vegetation created aquatic terrors. Their pursuits through vine-choked territories matched the original Outbreaks' raw intensity, rail shooting segments capturing the urgency. Paired perspectives wove through Claire's code Veronica struggles with added Ashford narrative depth. Her Antarctic ordeal enhanced by intimate boss encounters against Alexia's flame mutations. The recap explored Operation Javier, where Hidalgo's human trafficking empire merged T. Veronica with indigenous parasites, creating bloated mutants that erupted from riverbanks in grotesque assaults. Krauser's darker partnership with Leon hinted at future betrayals, their conversations amid gunfire revealing tensions that would spread through the series. Enhanced visuals polished the horror from Raccoon's zombie-filled streets to Veronica's frozen depths, each segment a link joining isolated tales into a comprehensive web of bioterrorism. This compilation served as a reflective lens on the saga's foundation, adding lore with previously unseen scenarios like Leon's pre-Raccoon work and Hidalgo's demise in explosive confrontations. The narrative threads tied personal struggles to global threats, a contemplative examination of how viruses combined with human ambition perpetuated cycles of mutation. In its retold darkness, the series' core pulsed with renewed energy, inviting deeper exploration into survival's shadows and the price of playing God with nature's building blocks. On the luxurious Spencer Rain cruise ship floating in the Atlantic in September 2002, U.S. agent Bruce McGivern infiltrated amid reports of a T-virus theft by rogue Umbrella operative Morpheus Duval. The ship's elegant decks, once filled with champagne toasts, now dripped with blood from zombie passengers, their evening wear torn as they wandered ballrooms and casino floors in mindless hunger. With Chinese agent Fong Ling, Bruce navigated rocking corridors using light gun mechanics, shooting through hunter packs that leaped from chandeliers in timed sequences. Morpheus's transformation into a tyrant form escalated terror, his electrical attacks crackling across wet engine rooms where environmental puzzles like power redistribution amid rising water levels demanded quick thinking under pressure. Fong Ling's acrobatic assistance complemented Bruce's firepower, their uneasy alliance cutting through tension as documents revealed Morpheus's plan to launch virus-laden missiles at major cities worldwide. The ship's isolation amplified dread. Every wave impact a reminder of their precarious position on chaos's edge. The outbreak's climax played across tilting decks as Morpheus's final form, an electricity-covered monstrosity, fell in a storm of explosives and determination. The Spencer Rain's sinking became a grave marking another blow to Umbrella's collapsing empire. Bruce and Fong's escape was a narrow victory against the tide of abandoned company evil. This oceanic nightmare connected Eris, a solitary wave in the saga's storm where isolation bred innovation in horror's relentless pursuit. The ship descended into dark waters, carrying with it more of Umbrella's twisted legacy. From Albert Wesker's calculating perspective, Umbrella's fall replayed cinematically, his enhanced vision guiding strikes on Russian facilities in 2003, where final tyrant models stalked through snow-covered compounds. Teamed with shadowy operatives, Wesker dismantled remnants of corporate infrastructure, rail shooting action, capturing mansion revisits, and raccoon echoes with improved boss battle mechanics. Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine's parallel paths converged in Arclay Returns, their pursuits through familiar halls revealing new layers of Spencer's enhancement programs amid Crimson Head revivals. The narrative explored Umbrella's global collapse from train derailments mirroring Zero's leech horrors to Antarctic facilities where T. Veronica's legacy clashed in fiery repetitions. Wesker's superhuman speed manifested in dodge mechanics against massive foes, his dialogue weaving betrayal threads through each segment. Puzzles integrated smoothly like mirror configurations to incinerate mutants, linking recap with interactive depth that maintained the series' puzzle-solving roots while showcasing untold conspiracies. This compilation chronicled the company's twilight, Wesker's survival, a pivot toward future machinations as facilities fell in explosive conclusions. Umbrella's terror empire folded under its own weight, leaving survivors to process revelations emerging from destruction's evidence. In its retold finale, the saga's cycles of creation and downfall resonated deeply, a somber acknowledgement of enduring darkness even as regimes crumbled. The corporate entity dissolved, but its viral progeny scattered like seeds across the globe, waiting for new hosts and new ambitions to nurture them into fresh nightmares. 6 years past Raccoon's incineration, Leon Kennedy ventured into Spain's misty valleys in 2004, sent to rescue President Graham's daughter Ashley from mysterious captors called Los Illuminados, a cult worshipping ancient parasites excavated from forgotten mines. The village's fog-draped paths filled with ganados, locals infected by Las Plagas, their eyes glowing with fanatical devotion as they swung chainsaws and farming implements in coordinated attacks. Leon's agent training met the surreal, his knife parries and tactical positioning turning wooden barns and churches into improvised battlegrounds where each shadow concealed parasitic threat. Ashley's abduction pulled Leon deeper into the cult's territory, her frightened calls echoing through castle walls guarded by armored zealots and Garrador beasts. The mysterious merchant offered respite, his glowing display showcasing upgrades for weapons and ammunition types amid the constant hum of infection. Las Plagas manifested in grotesque bursts, hosts convulsing as tentacled appendages erupted from necks, forcing Leon to adapt with headshots and environmental traps like collapsing scaffolding that crushed advancing hordes. Spain's isolation emphasized the shift from viral undead to parasitic control. Leon's solo mission, a stark departure from team dynamics where old certainties met contemporary espionage. The valley's eerie quiet, broken by distant bells summoning the infected, underscored the parasite's insidious grip, drawing him toward discoveries that would redefine bioterrorism's boundaries. This foreign nightmare showed control evolving from chaos, preparing pathways through blood-soaked earth toward revelations about human manipulation and the terrifying efficiency of guided infection. As Leon penetrated Los Illuminados' stronghold, betrayals surfaced like buried bones. Old friend Jack Krauser revealed his infected allegiance, his mutated arm transforming into a blade appendage that slashed through foggy confrontations. Their knife duel on ancient ruins tested past bonds. Krauser's enhanced speed demonstrating Plagueis enhancement capabilities, pushing Leon to parry with precision amid crumbling architecture. Ada Wong's enigmatic presence wove through chaos, her red-clad figure a flash of cunning and shadow as she pursued her own objectives, stealing samples while providing occasional assistance from vantage points. Cult leader Osmond Sadler's throne room pulsed with the parasite's hive consciousness, his staff channeling tentacles that commanded Ganado swarms and coordinated assaults. Leon's battles intensified in underground chambers where Plagueis evolved into massive forms. Regenerador monsters shambling forward with internal parasites requiring thermal scopes to eliminate. Their rasping breaths created an oppressive atmosphere through damp caverns. Ashley's brief captures added vulnerable intervals, her screams cutting tension as Leon protected her amid spotlight beams and minecart escapes racing through vertiginous drops. The confrontation culminated in Sadler's grotesque transformation, a multi-limbed abomination thrashing in a storm of biomass fury, demanding Leon's complete arsenal from rocket launchers to incendiary grenades. Ada's covert extraction of the dominant Plagueis sample sealed the cult's doom, her helicopter departure a thin thread of escape. This segment's mutations marked a pivotal shift where personal struggles intertwined with parasitic dominance, leaving scars that echoed beyond Spain's borders. Enhanced with contemporary grit, this remake placed Leon into Spain's horrors with refined mechanics emphasizing parrying and stealth takedowns that made each Ganado encounter a tense survival dance. Ashley's AI evolved into cooperative assistance, ducking behind cover and boosting Leon through passages, her expanded characterization adding emotional depth to rescues amid village chaos where chainsaw-wielding Dr. Salvador crashed through doors in relentless pursuit. Lore expansions deepened Plagueis origins with ancient cave murals depicting intimate connections to local mythology, blending classic atmosphere with fresh environmental storytelling. The Separate Ways campaign spotlighted Ada's parallel journey, her grappling hook zipping through castle rooftops as she thwarted Krauser's schemes and navigated Wesker's lingering influence through shadowy encounters. Combat refinements shown in the remake with Sadler's mutations adding aerial attacks and stage transformations requiring adaptive strategies, while merchant interactions gained personality through elaborate case systems organizing herbs and ammunition in tactile detail. Visuals captured Fog's oppressive weight, rain-pelting blood-stained paths that enhanced immersion in this retold nightmare. This remake honored the 2004 classic while expanding its universe, Krauser's duel a showcase of betrayal and skill. As the island facility exploded in fiery conclusions, narrative threads spread into the larger saga, inviting reflection on enhancement's cost. The story felt reborn in polished terror, a gateway for newcomers into the parasite's enduring grip while satisfying veterans with deepened mechanics and expanded lore. In Harvardville Airport's bustling terminal in 2005, a routine flight descended into chaos as a T-virus outbreak erupted, passengers convulsing into zombies amid screams and shattered glass. Leon Kennedy, now a seasoned government agent, reunited with Claire Redfield, their Raccoon connection reigniting an urgency as they barricaded gates against advancing hordes, her humanitarian work clashing with his combat pragmatism. Will Pharma Corporation's connections emerged in the pandemonium, their antivirus demonstrations hiding deeper conspiracies tied to Tricell's shadowy acquisitions, pushing the pair to navigate quarantined zones filled with liquors sliding through ventilation systems. Senator Ron Davis's involvement unraveled as a web of bioterror profiteering, his escape attempt stopped by infected crowds that transformed the tarmac into a battleground of overturned vehicles and spreading flames. Claire's quick thinking showed in improvised defenses using airport equipment to crush undead masses, while Leon's marksmanship cleared paths to underground laboratories where G-virus remnants hinted at escalating threats. The film's smooth choreography captured horror's kinetic flow. From slow, shambling bites to explosive breaches of corporate facades, degeneration bridged eras, illustrating Will Pharma's collapse as prelude to larger schemes. Leon and Claire's partnership symbolized enduring bonds amid the virus's resurgence. The airport's fluorescent lights flickered out in resolution, Tricell's ascension a quiet warning of African storms ahead. In this airborne nightmare, old wounds reopened, reminding audiences that bioterrorism's roots ran deeper than any containment could suppress, and that those who'd survived Raccoon would never truly escape its shadow. On the abandoned Queen Zenobia cruise ship drifting in the Mediterranean's azure waters in 2005, Jill Valentine and Parker Luciani from the BSAA descended into a waterlogged nightmare of T-Abyss virus horrors deployed by terrorist organization Veltro. The vessel's flooded decks gleamed under emergency lighting, corridors slick with seawater where ooze mutants slid from grates, their gelatinous forms adapting to aquatic environments in suffocating embraces. Jill's underwater searches revealed sunken laboratories filled with gyotso creatures demanding precise aim and air management amid constant pressure concerns. Veltro's ideological warfare manifested through haunting messages and broadcasts, their aquatic virus strain tied to global bioterrorism networks that pulled in Chris Redfield's parallel investigation on a sister vessel. Parker's grounded skepticism balanced Jill's focused determination, their partnership tested in cooperative firefights against wall blister hunters that emerged from shadows, blades gleaming like spectral threats. Puzzles wove through navigation from helm wheel alignments, accessing hidden compartments to engine valve adjustments, restoring power amid rising tides. Revelations peaked in documents exposing FBC corruption, the T-Abyss's aquatic adaptations, and evolutionary branches from terrestrial infections, illustrating bioterror's limitless adaptation. As the Zenobia sank into depths, survivors' extraction emphasized the BSAA's growing role in containing these maritime nightmares. This oceanic expedition connected viral lineages, a submerged chapter where the sea became repository for horror's relentless flow. The cold water pressed against hull breaches, reminding them that nowhere on Earth remained safe from humanity's darkest creations. In the secure corridors of the White House in 2006, Leon Kennedy exposed a web of hacking traced to international bioterrorism. Rat-dispersed zombies filling basement levels amid flickering servers and classified documents. Flashbacks to Penamstan's civil war revealed mad cow bioweapons deployed in trench warfare, their animal hosts transforming soldiers into feral horrors that echoed through dusty battlefields. Leon's team with Shen Mei and Jason deteriorated under suspicion, their covert operations clashing with government security as infected groups breached defenses in coordinated strikes. The series explored endless dark conspiracies with submarine sequences showing chip implants controlling mutations, only for betrayals to release them in confined spaces, creating maximum carnage. Claire Redfield's humanitarian investigations ran parallel to Leon's, her discoveries in refugee camps linking virus strains to corporate military contracts that blurred allegiance lines. Smooth animation captured tension from slow interrogation rooms in dim lighting to explosive escapes through ventilation shafts where rat carriers swarmed like dark omens of outbreak. Infinite Darkness wove personal stakes into geopolitical machinations, Leon's weary determination a beacon amid discoveries of manufactured infection for control purposes. The White House's security breach illustrated vulnerability at power's heart, resolution, leaving conspiracy threads dangling like unsolved mysteries. This series' nightmare emphasized bioterror's infiltration into daily governance, where past shadows haunted the corridors of those sworn to protect, and trust became the scarcest resource in a world drowning in deception. Under Kajuju's scorching sun in dusty African villages during March 2009, Chris Redfield and Shiva Alamar infiltrated Tricell's operations as Majini groups attacked with axes and firearms in coordinated waves that transformed settlements into killing zones. The pair's BSAA assignment uncovered Ouroboros virus experiments in sweltering, impoverished communities where executioner mutants wielded massive axes amid oil barrel explosions and crumbling mud brick walls. Sheva's local knowledge complemented Chris's tactical aggression, their partnership dynamic shining in split-path gameplay that reunited for cooperative takedowns. Ancient ruins beneath desert sands echoed progenitor origins, flower fields blooming with viral essence that fueled Tricell's dominion plans guarded by liquor mutations leaping from cavern ceilings in predatory grace. Jill Valentine's mind-controlled captivity added emotional urgency, her rescue from mechanical restraints a pivotal clash amid conveyor belt hazards and spotlight traps. The African heat amplified each confrontation, sweat-drenched chases through minecart sequences racing toward precipitous drops where Ouroboros tentacles writhed like living vegetation seeking hosts. Kajuju's catastrophe marked a transition to corporate successors, Tricell's grip on Progenitor, a direct threat to Umbrella's historical dominance, testing Chris's resolve in sun-baked arenas of mutation. As partnerships strained under relentless sky, the mission peeled back layers of global ambition, setting stages for volcanic reckonings. This African journey burned with intensity, where the source of all viruses spawned fresh terrors under unyielding skies, and every breath tasted of dust and desperation. Deep in Tricell's volcanic facilities, Albert Wesker's master plan unfolded like molten rock, his superhuman form dodging bullets with blurred speed as he prepared Ouroboros' global release from a bomber fleet. Chris and Shiva battled his enhanced strength in prolonged encounters as Ouroboros worms erupted from failed hosts in writhing masses demanding flamethrower vulnerabilities amid steam vents and collapsing platforms. Jill's liberation revealed Wesker's dependency on performance-enhancing serum, her device fueling the pair's pursuit through research complexes filled with Reaper insects advancing in armored swarms. Discoveries fell in sterile rooms, Wesker's enhanced biology tracing back to Spencer's foundational experiments, his cold monologue a chilling bridge between eras as volcanic tremors shook the base's foundation. The endgame escalated in aerial dogfights and lava flows as a massive tentacled beast, thrashed in volcanic fury, demanding rocket barrages and environmental hazards to defeat. Sheva's precision matched Chris's unwavering will, their bond of combat facing Wesker's isolation in Power's pursuit. Wesker's fall amid disintegrating platforms marked Umbrella's spiritual conclusion, his absorption into Ouroboros a poetic inversion of ambition's consumption. The transition to emerging threats loomed in aftermath as Tricell's collapse scattered seeds of future bioterrorism. This volcanic climax incinerated the saga with spectacle, where old rivalries melted in flames, forging paths toward uncertain horizons. The facility sank into magma as they escaped, Wesker's final screams swallowed by the Earth that had given birth to the progenitor virus so many years before, completing a circle of hubris and destruction. In Eastern Europe's war-torn streets of the Eastern Slav Republic in 2011, Leon Kennedy moved among rebel factions fighting government forces, only to discover bioweapons deployed as tactical tools. Liquor variants prowled bombed buildings, their elongated tongues whipping through rubble as combatants transformed into parasitic hybrids merged with Las Plagas insects, creating horrific soldier monster chimeras. Leon's covert investigation led him to uneasy alliances with locals like resistance fighter Buddy, their fragile trust forged in firefights where bioorganic weapons turned battlefields into living nightmares. The air hung thick with cordite and decomposing flesh as political lines dissolved into survival instinct. President Svetlana Belikova's regime concealed Tricell-backed laboratories beneath the capital where Liquor Plaga fusion experiments created tyrant-class organisms that stalked underground passages, their armored hides deflecting conventional ammunition in steady, mechanical advance. Leon navigated political intrigue and double crosses, his encounters with infected showing the parasite's hive mind control over human hosts, forcing impossible choices in a conflict where contagion blurred friend from foe. The smooth CGI captured urban warfare's chaos twisted by bioterrorism, from collapsing cathedrals to flooded subway chases where water churned with hidden threats. Belikova's downfall played in a storm of revelations. Her transformation prevented as Leon dismantled the operation, parasites scattering in defeat amid falling structures. The Civil War's resolution left scars of orchestrated conflict. Tricell's influence a persistent poison in the region's fragile peace. This Eastern European nightmare illustrated bioterror's role in geopolitical games, where viruses became instruments of state control, echoing forward in the saga's expanding tapestry of global chaos and reminding viewers that monsters wore many faces, some human. On the fog-shrouded shores of Suchestvovanie Island in 2011, Claire Redfield and Moira Burton, awakened in a decrepit prison facility, Terra Save's humanitarian mission derailed by abduction and the T. Phobos virus's fear-triggered mutations. Fitted with bracelets monitoring terror levels, they navigated rusted cells and overgrown wilderness where afflicted mutants twisted by Phobos into spike-covered monstrosities burst from shadows, their shrieks inducing psychosis. Claire's combat expertise meshed with Moira's flashlight assistance and lockpicking, uncovering Overseer Alex Wesker's psychological experiments in a narrative split between their escape and Barry Burton's later rescue mission months afterward. The island's rotting mining town concealed grotesque developments, revenants assembling from severed parts in macabre puzzles demanding dismemberment and environmental awareness. Natalia Corda's innocent role as Alex's potential vessel added purity to horror, her psychic perception revealing Wesker's fractured consciousness amid tower ascents and flooded chambers filled with glass-bodied glasps that shimmered like heat mirages. Barry's gruff determination balanced Claire's hope, their paths intersecting in narratives of immortality quests tied to Kafka-esque lore woven into the facility's design. Alex's reign collapsed in a fusion of self-loathing and mutation, her final form a swirling vortex of T. Phobos essence clashing in storm-battered confrontations. The survivor's extraction left Natalia's fate ambiguous, her existence a thread of hope amid Wesker's failed ambitions. This isolated trial deepened the series' psychological dimensions where fear itself became the virus, binding personal terrors to the larger tapestry of manufactured horror and raising questions about consciousness, identity, and the true meaning of survival. The world ignited in coordinated bioterrorism during late 2012 as Tall Oaks' suburban streets crumbled under President Benford's assassination, the venue transforming into a zombie siege where C-virus cocoons hatched into leaping Javo mutants. Leon Kennedy and Helena Harper fought through fog-choked roads matching Raccoon's end, pursuing leads on Derek Simmons's conspiracy, navigating campus halls slick with chrysalid remains and subway tunnels alive with Nepad brutes pounding through concrete barriers. Leon's sardonic humor cut through tension, his partnership with Helena forged in discoveries of framed culpability amid governmental murders hiding deeper viral schemes. Simultaneously, Chris Redfield's BSAA squad hit Edonia's frozen conflicts, where Javo regenerated limbs in adaptive fury, their evolution-like growth demanding precision headshots and flamethrower applications in snow-covered war zones. Piers Nivanz's sharpshooting complemented Chris's scarred leadership, uncovering Carla Radams's vengeance as Neo Umbrella's architect, her C-virus strains creating Lopatica chainsaw terrors that swarmed through combat areas. The outbreak's global scale spanned continents from European snowscapes to Asian megacities, each front a tapestry of mutation where viruses adapted in real-time responses to threats. The catastrophes converged in Lanxiang's neon chaos as underwater facilities flooded with Raskla Pange scissor horrors, team paths crossing in spectacular set-piece moments. Simmons's transformation into a fly-like monstrosity emphasized the sea virus's unpredictable volatility, demanding vehicle chases and aerial takedowns amid toppling skyscrapers. This worldwide epic captured bioterrorism's pandemic reach, interweaving fates in a storm of action and conspiracy that tested humanity's breaking point across three intersecting campaigns of desperate survival. In Adonia's frozen battlegrounds, Chris pursued ghosts of past failures, while Jake Muller's mercenary edge clashed with Sherry Birkin's protective duty as they fled Neo-Umbrella pursuit. His Wesker heritage granted immunity that fueled high-stakes escapes through tank battles and motorcycle flights across war-ravaged cities. Ada Wong's espionage wove through shadows, her doppelganger Carla's machinations unfolding in cat-and-mouse games across quarantine zones, where Lepetitsa gas mutants clouded streets in infectious fog. The interconnected narratives revealed personal stakes, Jake's resentment melting under Sherry's compassion amid submarine confrontations and high-rise escapes. Lanxiang became the convergence point. Chris and Piers facing House in underwater laboratories where bioluminescent horrors illuminated desperate swims and elevator descents. Ada's revelations linked conspiracies, exposing Simmons's obsession in helicopter dogfights that painted the sky with tracer fire, while Jake's encounters with Ustanak showcased his birthright's burden. The BSAA's global response strained under coordinated assault. Team dynamics emphasizing cooperation in scenarios where sea virus behemoths fused forms in grotesque combinations demanding synchronized attacks. Resolutions came in fiery conclusions. Piers's sacrifice steadying Chris amid volcanic eruptions, while Jake and Sherry's bond hinted at redemptive futures beyond bloodlines and legacy. Neo-Umbrella's spectacle scattered its remnants across a changed world, yet the outbreak's imprint persisted in survivors' haunted gazes. This tapestry of fates wove the series' ensemble into unified resistance, where individual battles fueled collective determination against bioterrorism's rising tide, demonstrating that even in apocalyptic scenarios, human connection remained the strongest weapon against manufactured darkness. In Mexico's arid landscapes around 2014, Chris Redfield stormed a cartel compound filled with zombie guards, his BSAA team clashing against arms dealer Glenn Arias's manufactured horrors in explosive gunfights and collapsing architecture. Leon Kennedy, drawn in by a New York wedding-turned-bioterrorism event, navigated upscale chaos where guests convulsed into mutants under airborne infection, his motorcycle chased through traffic weaving a thread of kinetic desperation. Rebecca Chambers' cure research became pivotal, her laboratory attacked by lickers and tyrants that forced improvised defenses amid chemical spills and flickering monitors. Arias's revenge, rooted in personal tragedy, manifested in the A virus, a hateful evolution of Las Plagas strains designed for targeted genocide, its deployment playing out in spectacular aerial sequences of drone swarms dispersing contagion over metropolitan skylines. The trio's convergence in a Mexican standoff pitted them against Arias's fused form, a massive amalgamation of muscle and malice demanding coordinated strikes from rocket launchers and aerial support. Internal betrayals amplified stakes as Rebecca's antidote became a beacon of science against pain-fueled madness. Vendetta's resolution scattered Arias's empire in flames, survivors' teamwork a testament to enduring bonds amid recurring threats. New York's salvation mirrored Raccoon's ghost, where personal drives merged with global danger, leaving quiet warnings of bioterrorism's persistent evolution. This cinematic chapter linked legacy characters in a reminder that horror cycles could ignite from human grief, and that those who'd survived the darkest nights remained vigilant against the next outbreak's crimson dawn. Off San Francisco's fog-shrouded waters in 2015, Jill Valentine tracked mysterious infection to Alcatraz Island, the infamous prison's rusted cells transformed into a technological nightmare where drone swarms deployed viruses, transforming inmates into shambling terrors. Robotic insects buzzed through air, injecting payloads that mutated hosts into licker swarms scaling walls, forcing Jill to navigate the rock's treacherous paths with improvised barricades and environmental drops into shark-infested waters below. Leon and Chris converged on the scene, their paths intersecting with Claire and Rebecca in a confluence of urgency amid wailing alarms and blood-slicked corridors. The Mastermind's conspiracy revealed itself in underground laboratories blending Cold War history with cutting-edge bioterrorism, where hybrid mutants fused mechanical implants with viral rage, demanding precision to disable cores amid electrical mazes and crumbling passages. Claire's investigative acumen matched the group's firepower, uncovering connections to shadow organizations echoing Umbrella's fractured legacy. The island's isolation transformed each turn into potential ambush as fog rolled like a shroud over undead advance. Alcatraz's nightmare peaked in a symphony of destruction, the team's extraction helicopter lifting amid exploding facilities that sank experimental horrors into depths below. This convergence of iconic figures emphasized the series' ensemble strength, where old wounds reopened facing contemporary threats. The rock's collapse marked another victory, yet whispered of viruses evolving beyond conventional boundaries, lurking in technology's marriage with biological corruption. From this fortress of the past, the battle's echoes carried warnings of future conflicts where the lines between machine and monster would blur beyond recognition. In Louisiana's sweltering wetlands of Dolby during July 2017, Ethan Winters arrived at the decaying Baker homestead, drawn by a cryptic message from missing wife Mia. The air hung thick with humidity, rot, and the oppressive weight of mold. The family's twisted hospitality played in creaking halls where Jack Baker pursued with chainsaw roars, his regenerating flesh ignoring shotgun blasts and intimate confrontations that shattered furniture and spilled blood across warped floorboards. Ethan's first-person perspective captured raw vulnerability as puzzles like shadow positioning and chemical synthesis offered brief respite amid the relentless dread of molded mutants emerging from walls like living decay. Evelyn's childlike control loomed as the mold's architect, her psychic manipulation guiding the Bakers into familial monstrosity. Marguerite's insect swarms crawled through greenhouse vines while Lucas's sadistic traps in rigged barns tested Ethan's sanity with illusions blending memory and terror. Mia's duality added layers of conspiracy, her infected episodes forcing agonizing choices in flooded basements where water churned with submerged threats. The home's claustrophobic atmosphere amplified every sound, transforming domestic spaces into psychological horror zones. Dolby's nightmare peeled back to reveal the Connections organization's E-Series bioweapons, Ethan's survival a quiet heroism amid the bayou's oppressive embrace. The transition to intimate family horror redefined the saga, Mold's fungal grip, a fresh mutation from viral predecessors, leaving Ethan marked in body and spirit. This domestic nightmare whispered of cycles unbroken where family bonds twisted into chains of infection, setting stages for village terrors that would test his resolve even further and prove that sometimes the greatest horrors weren't corporations or conspiracies, but the intimate violation of home itself. Retrospective glimpses in Daughter's DLC showed the Bakers before infection, warm family dinners, and Zoe's innocence descending into madness as Evelyn's storm arrival corrupted their haven. Their home transforming from cozy meals to prison cells hiding grotesque transformations painted tragedy in intimate brushstrokes. Not a Hero pushed Chris Redfield into aftermath, his BSAA cleanup navigating salt mines filled with molded variants adapting to combat, forcing heavy weapon reliance with night vision and explosive ordnance amid claustrophobic tunnels echoing with guttural sounds. End of Zoe followed Joe Baker's bayou quest to save his kin, bare-knuckle brawling against Jack's swamp monster form, turning reeds into improvised weapons and raw, visceral combat against fungal corruption. These additions deepened Dulvey's lore, revealing Connection's broader schemes through scattered documents and audio logs tying Mold to ancient megamycete roots, a fungal consciousness predating even Umbrella's viral experiments. Puzzles like valve mechanisms and trap disarmament expanded the homestead's mysteries, while Chris's mission exposed Lucas's continued games, his rigged facilities, a cruel aftermath blending horror with strategy. Zoe's survival arc added resolution, her botanical remedies a local battle against parasitic invasion. The DLCs wove loose threads into comprehensive cloth, Mold's discovery hinting at immortality pursuits echoing across eras. Chris's involvement bridged old guard to emerging risks. The mine's fungus, a harbinger of new terrors, yet a callback to deeper evolutionary stories. In these expansions, Dulvey's shadow persisted, a contemplative examination of infection's human cost, and the stubborn refusal to surrender even when home becomes the enemy and family becomes the nightmare that stalks your dreams through endless, moldering corridors. Deep in Eastern Europe's snow-blanketed valleys in a remote village during February 2021, Ethan Winters awakened to a shattered world. His home, destroyed by lichen attacks, and infant daughter Rose abducted by forces from folklore and nightmare. The hamlet's forests groaned under winter's burden as werewolves howled through blizzards, Ethan navigating fog-shrouded paths lined with hanging warnings, his improvised arsenal of shotguns and mines clashing against packs that lunged with feral precision. Mother Miranda's dominion loomed as architect of this ancient horror, her avian form overseeing a land where 4 lords ruled territories of terror, each a twisted embodiment of immortality's curse. Lady Dimitrescu's towering castle dripped with aristocratic menace, her daughters swarming like blood-sucking insects through candle-lit halls where Ethan dodged blade swipes and solved portrait puzzles amid wine cellars flowing with crimson substance. Deeper explorations led to Donna Beneviento's doll manor of illusions, where mannequin puppets shifted reality and childlike whimsy turned lethal, and Carl Heisenberg's factory complex of mechanical monstrosities, where scrap metal cyborgs clanked in industrial symphonies of sparks and screams. Moreau's reservoir concealed aquatic mutations sliding through dam structures, each lord's defeat dismantling Miranda's web of megamycete experiments connecting back to Mold's evolutionary roots. Miranda's throne room peaked in righteous fury, her shape-shifting abilities cycling through Lord essences in a climactic storm, demanding Ethan's complete rage, channeled through light stakes and explosive rounds amid revelations of his own reconstituted nature. Rose's cries echoed as the key to eternal life sought by a grieving goddess scientist. The village's folklore was merely camouflage for bio-research that Ethan dismantled through sacrificial will. This winter fairy tale deepened family stakes in horror's embrace, where ancient traditions met modern mutation, leaving the valleys quiet beneath the mountains' mournful breath and snow that would cover the evidence of mankind's hubris for another generation, until the cycle inevitably began again. 16 years forward, in 2037, Rose Winters navigated a mindscape born from her inherited mold powers, a surreal realm of fractured memories where ruined structures pulsed with bioluminescence amid echoing whispers of her father's legacy. Pursued by masked apparitions and spectral copies in a landscape mixing village chaos with internal fears, Rose wielded abilities to freeze time and shatter illusions, solving environmental riddles like vine growth requiring power channeling through fungal nodes. The realm's instability reflected her adolescent turmoil, teenage isolation amplified by powers that separated her from normalcy, pulling her deeper into confrontations with molded echoes of familiar terrors. Michael, a mysterious guide manifesting as a spectral presence, wove threads of Miranda's lingering influence. The megamycetes' root consciousness appearing as colossal entities that warped reality with tendrils and dream like swarms. Rose's journey peeled layers of self-doubt through encounters with phantasmal Ethan projections, forcing reflections on inherited sacrifice amid platforming across collapsing voids filled with crystalline crawlers that refracted light in kaleidoscopic horror. The DLC's intimate focus captured her evolution from hesitant denial to empowered acceptance, where energy blast cleared paths through shadowed corridors filled with gibbering manifestations of fear and grief. The future's resolution crystallized in a purifying surge, Rose embracing her mold birthright to dismantle the mindscape's core, emerging strengthened with hints of cycles perpetuating in the series' viral tapestry. This epilogue bridged generations, Rose's existence a poignant echo to enduring resistance against godlike curses. In the mindscape's dissolution, possibilities lingered like spores in air, whispering of threats yet germinating in tomorrow's shadows as the winter's bloodline proved that even those born from horror could become its greatest opposition. As the echoes of Raccoon City's flames fade into memory's gentle embrace, the Resident Evil saga lingers like a quiet pulse in a darkened room, a tale woven from ancient mysteries to distant futures. The virus's progenitor, TG Las Plagas mold, began as whispers in forgotten caves but evolved into storms that tore through cities and lives, leaving scars that would never fully heal. This timeline, from the Ndapaya's sacred blooms to Rose Winter's mindscape trials, is more than a catalog of outbreaks and monsters. It's a mirror reflecting human ambition, where every zombie's moan and tyrant's roar tells a story of greed's cost and courage's spark. Let's linger in these shadows one final time, tracing the threads that bind survivors and monsters across decades of horror and hope. Jill Valentine's run through Raccoon's burning streets, dodging Nemesis's relentless pursuit, wasn't merely survival. It was defiance, carved in gunfire and determination. Her quick thinking in clock towers and hospitals revealed a spirit that refused to break even when the city crumbled around her. She carried Steares's weight, transforming betrayal into a weapon against Umbrella's lies. Each step through smoke and ruin forged her into legend, a symbol for fans who see her as the franchise's soul, never surrendering regardless of odds stacked against her. Chris Redfield evolved from a rookie confronting mansion horrors to a BSAA soldier battling global plagues, his fists as ready as his firearms. In Kajuju's scorching heat facing Ouroboros's writhing tentacles, he carried scars from Arkley to Africa, driven by loyalty to fallen comrades. Fans celebrate his grit, cheering when he punches boulders or confronts Wesker's schemes, because Chris embodies stubborn will to keep standing even when the world collapses, a testament to human resilience against insurmountable darkness. Leon Kennedy's journey began with a rain-soaked night in Raccoon, a rookie officer thrust into chaos who emerged with dry wit and deadly precision. From Spain's parasite-infected villages to Lanxiang's neon-lit streets, his cool composure and sharp aim made him a fan favorite. Whether dodging Krauser's mutated blade or outsmarting Sadler's cult, Leon's blend of humor and heart keeps audiences engaged, his story reminding us that even in horror's depths, a quip can illuminate the darkness and humanity can persist. Claire Redfield's search for her brother led her through zombie swarms to protect innocents like Sherry, her compassion a shield in collapsing worlds. On Rockford Island, facing T. Veronica's insectoid nightmares, she fought not just for survival, but for those unable to defend themselves. Her narrative resonates with fans who recognize her as family-driven, a hero finding hope in smallest connections, making every puzzle solved or mutant defeated a victory for care over chaos and proving love's power transcends viral corruption. Sherry Birkin, a child caught in Raccoon's destruction, carried the G-virus in her blood but grew into an agent fighting alongside Jake Mueller. Her survival through sewers and laboratories, haunted by her father's monstrous transformations, struck chords with fans who admire her quiet strength. She represents the virus legacy's redemption, proof that destruction's children can rise above their origins, a theme echoing in discussions where fans praise her growth from victim to survivor to protector. Ada Wong moves like smoke through every encounter, her motives as elusive as Las Plagas samples she appropriates. In Spain or Lanxiang, she's simultaneously ally and enigma, saving Leon while pursuing personal agendas. Fans debate her loyalties endlessly, drawn to her mystery and signature red dress. Her presence weaves intrigue into every narrative, reminding us that survival sometimes demands playing multiple sides in a world where trust is rarer than antiviral herbs and truth is the scarcest commodity. Albert Wesker's cold ambition towers over the series like a monument to hubris, his glowing eyes behind sunglasses symbolizing Umbrella's twisted aspirations. From Arclay's betrayals to Ouroboros's volcanic conclusion, he pursued godhood only to fall victim to his own pride. Fans love to hate him, creating memes about his superhuman speed while dissecting his elaborate schemes. His story warns against unchecked ambition. A villain whose shadow lingers in every laboratory's sterile glow and whose influence shaped the saga's direction for over a decade. The Ashford's gothic tragedy adds melancholic beauty to bioterror's brutality. Their T. Veronica strain, born from aristocratic obsession, Alexia's fiery insectoid reign in Antarctica, was simultaneously horrifying and tragic, a queen undone by her own brilliance. Fans explore their lore in forums, drawn to the family's downfall as a mirror of Umbrella's corruption. Their story illustrates how viruses thrive on human flaws, transforming legacy into mutation and proving that even the most refined bloodlines cannot escape the monsters they create. Tyrants, from Mr. X's relentless footsteps to Nemesis's rocket-propelled hunts, embody Umbrella's brutal vision of control. Built in laboratories from genetic templates, they're not people but tools, stomping through Raccoon or Alcatraz with mechanical rage. Fans thrill at their terror, sharing clips of narrow escapes because these monsters represent bioweapons' cold precision, but the logical endpoint of viewing humans as raw material for enhancement, rather than beings deserving dignity and life. Lickers, blind and crawling with exposed muscle, demonstrate the T-virus's capacity for independent evolution. Their tongue-lashing ambushes in sewers or laboratories make them nightmare fuel, with YouTube montages celebrating their disturbing design. They're proof the virus doesn't need human guidance. It learns, adapts, and hunts with predatory efficiency. A living argument that once unleashed, these creations develop their own terrible intelligence beyond their maker's control. Hunk, Umbrella's Grim Reaper, slips through missions with clinical efficiency, his gas mask hiding any trace of emotion. Surviving Raccoon's fall and countless operations beyond, he's a fan icon shrouded in mystery. Social media speculation runs wild about his nature, human or enhanced, but his silent professionalism illustrates how the viral world didn't just create monsters. It manufactured machines of flesh and blood, operatives so conditioned that humanity became optional. Survival, the only parameter that mattered. Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen faced Arclay's leech horrors before the mansion incident, their unlikely partnership a spark in the saga's earliest days. Rebecca's medical expertise and Billy's combat pragmatism uncovered Marcus's revenge in a story fans celebrate for its raw survival against overwhelming odds. Their tale proves the virus's reach extended beyond cities, touching even the smallest lives with its corrupting web, and that heroism doesn't require special training. Sometimes it just requires refusing to give up. Outbreaks civilians, Kevin, Alyssa, and others brought Raccoon's suffering to visceral life, fighting through zoos and subways where infected elephants or lickers roamed. These everyday heroes, not elite soldiers or agents, resonate with fans who see themselves in their struggle. Their stories, preserved in fan wikis and retrospectives, ground the virus's terror in human cost, reminding us that behind every statistic was someone's family member, friend, neighbor, someone who deserved better than becoming a shambling corpse in Umbrella's grand experiment. Barry Burton's corny one-liners concealed a father's heart, his mansion choices driven by family held hostage under Wesker's threats. Returning in Revelations 2 to save Moira, he's a fan favorite for loyalty wrapped in dad jokes. Social media quotes his quips lovingly because Barry represents what matters when everything collapses, not firepower or tactics, but love stronger than fear. The willingness to risk everything for those you protect, proving that even in darkness, warmth persists. Moira Burton and Natalia Corda carry the virus's psychological scars into new generations. Their struggles on Suchest Vovanier Island exploring trauma's lasting grip, Natalia's connection to Alex Wesker haunting fans who theorize her role in future installments. Their stories prove bioterrorism isn't momentary. It's a shadow shaping lives long after outbreaks fade, affecting children who never asked to be part of these nightmares, yet must find ways to survive and eventually thrive despite the darkness they inherited. William Birkin's descent into the G-virus remains a tragedy fans revisit, his decision to inject himself transforming him into a sewer-stalking horror pursuing his own daughter. His pride, like Umbrella's, demonstrates what happens when scientific ambition outpaces ethical consideration. Birkin's story resonates because it's deeply human. A father whose love for his work exceeded his love for family. A cautionary tale carved in mutation and regret that echoes through every laboratory hallway. The virus's endless forms, zombies, tyrants, lickers, molded, lichens, aren't merely monsters. They're manifestations of human desire, reflections of ambition, greed, and the hubris of believing we can control nature's fundamental forces. Fans theorize endlessly about progenitors' ancient origins or mold's megamycete connections, loving how each strain tells fresh stories while connecting to larger mythologies. The saga's appeal lies in this fusion. Horror that's intensely personal, where every mutant carries fragments of humanity's greatest failures. As 2D25 unfolds, whispers of future projects stir excitement across social media and forums. Fans speculate about how Rose or classic heroes might return, what new viral strains might emerge, and whether the cycle of outbreak and resolution will ever truly end. These hints keep the saga vital, a promise of new shadows to explore and fresh nightmares to survive. The virus never truly dies. It waits like spores in the air, dormant but never gone, ready for the next ambitious scientist or desperate corporation to awaken its terrible potential. So as you drift toward sleep tonight, let these tales of Raccoon, Kijuju, and Dolby and beyond wrap around you like a gentle fog. Picture Jill's steady aim cutting through darkness, Leon's wry grin in the face of impossible odds, Claire's fierce protective heart, and Rose's quiet acceptance of inherited power. All of them fighting the same endless dark, all of them proving that even in plague's grip, hope endures like candlelight in vast shadows. The Resident Evil universe is a haunting lullaby, its survivors demonstrating that even when the world transforms into nightmare, human spirit remains unbreakable. Courage persists. Bonds strengthen. And somewhere in that persistence lies our own reflection, the knowledge that we too could stand against the darkness if called upon, that we too carry within us the spark of defiance that makes monsters pause and makes evil think twice before claiming another victim. Rest now and dream of their continuing fight. Dream of laboratories being shut down and viruses being contained. Dream of a world where the progenitor flower remains undiscovered, where Umbrella never rises, where families stay whole and cities stay safe. But know that even in nightmares, there are those who fight back, who refuse to surrender, who carry forward the light no matter how deep the shadows grow. Thank you for joining this journey through survival horror's most enduring saga. If you enjoyed this slow dive into Resident Evil's complete timeline, subscribe for more deep lore content designed to guide you peacefully toward rest. Share your thoughts in the comments. Where are you listening from? And which character's story resonates most with you? It's beautiful how the same tale of survival against impossible odds can touch hearts across the world, one quiet night at a time. Until the next virus stirs and the next hero rises to meet it, sleep well. Dream of courage. And remember that even in our darkest hours, we are never truly alone. Good night.